Welcome, colleagues, to the Global Coalition meeting on synthetic drug threats. This is Subworking Group 3.2. I'm going to ask if Sarah can please share the slides so we can get started with tonight's session. And we have had now a series of meetings over the past few weeks and activities and events. So I want to update you on these as we get started. Next slide, you'll see that June 24 to 28, we celebrated the ISUP meeting, International Society of Substance Use Professionals. This is the 9th annual global meeting with over 1,000 participants that attended 30 plus trainings, events, and other activities. During that week, we also celebrated World Drug Day on June 26th. And you will all know that the World Drug Report was launched in Vienna by UNODC on that day. And we encourage you to visit UNODC's website if you have not had a chance to take a look at that report and its findings and seeing how the drug use patterns are changing around the world. On the 7th of July, we also celebrated the 1-year anniversary of the ministerial meeting that launched this global coalition, where 55 ministers came together with 86 countries and 12 international organizations. And we had a declaration that was also posted at that time. So please check out the website if you want to see those speeches. They are on YouTube and they are also on our Global Coalition website. In the next slide, you'll see that on the margins of ISUP, we also had a meeting of co-chairs on June 24 and 25 in Thessaloniki, Greece, where we had our ISUP meeting. We were able to, fortunately, bring together 30 out of the 40 co-chairs who met in person. And during this meeting, the co-chairs came up with some ideas for future action, among them to coordinate and to bring together the global donor community to be able to better meet the needs and the interests of countries that want to collaborate through the Global Coalition. So that's one thing that we're looking at setting up for September or October, a meeting of donors in Vienna at UNODC. We are also looking for additional enhanced controls of chemicals and precursors, improving forensic drug toxicology testing, improving data collection, and strengthening prevention measures, to name a few. Now, one of the deliverables that we also launched during this event of ISUP is a direct deliverable of one of the recommendations that was proposed by 3.2, which is forming a global recovery network. So that was launched at ISUP. The goal of this global recovery network is to help bring a definition, an international definition to recovery, help develop recovery ambassadors, help build recovery networks in the field, on the ground, and to help build greater linkages between treatment, aftercare, and what comes after, which is hopefully lifelong recovery. So if you would like to join this network as a recovery peer or recovery ally, please go to the website you see there, globalrecoverynetwork.org, and register. We also launched another network, which was the Global Women's Network. This is for providers of women's treatment services and recovery services. It's to build a network that offers support and mentorship, guidance, technical assistance, curriculum, and overall an opportunity for people that are finding challenges and needing strategies in how best to address the diverse and unique needs of women who are in clinical settings to offer some support to this community. So we're very excited by this one. Again, you can join this network by going on the website or scanning the QR code on the screen. I want to also note that it is not too late to provide your contributions to us. Let us know what you would like to focus on in terms of next steps for the coalition. You can adopt a new practice, a policy, strategy, regulation, or law, the launching of a collaboration with the private sector. You can provide financial or in-kind support. You can host regional or global meetings. You can express interest in one of the 120 initiatives on our website, or take any other action that you feel would be beneficial. And please, we would like to ask that you send us this information in a report no longer than 2 pages in Microsoft Word or by email. And we originally were looking for it by the 3rd of June, but we will continue to accept the reports and request that you send these submissions to us at syntheticscoalition@state.gov. And in the next slide, you'll see that our time is running short for meetings. After today, we will only have one more sub-working group meeting, which will be in August. And following that, in September, we will then be moving to the final phase, which will be reviewing the actions that we're going to take forward and having sub-working group co-chairs present to working group co-chairs their final reports for the coalition. So time is short. If you're interested in presenting, we would really encourage you, in addition to discussing monitoring, evaluation, and sustainability in August, we encourage you to reach out to us and let us know that you would like to provide your country report and share with us what your goals, expectations, achievements, and future actions will be as part of the coalition. Now, as we wrap up for today, I would like to ask our technical moderator to play for us a video summarizing some of the work that took place in Thessaloniki, Greece with the co-chairs.
Welcome everybody to the Global Coalition meeting. It's incredible to be here in person. With the pandemic, we all started using screens more and more, and now it's not unusual to have a whole year go by without seeing people in person. But it feels a little bit like Hollywood when you start to see people that you've been seeing on the screen now come to life, and now we're all here in one room. It's quite special. Thank you so much for making the journey.
I can't tell you what a great honor it is for me to be in this room with so many experts from so many different parts of your governments. I am happy to have the opportunity to thank you in person for everything that you have been doing over the past year.
I believe it is important that participant countries reflect on and communicate what their own objectives are as part of the Global Coalition and what they want to achieve over the next 12 months.
I urge us to invest in the hard work of building and supporting capacity in less developed parts of the world. This will require time, building relationships, face-to-face visits, and follow-up meetings.
Every country has challenges, they're just different ones. With synthetic drugs, there are a lot of lessons we can learn from other countries because of their experiences. And no one country can solve this alone. It is a challenge that faces all of us, and whether it's fentanyl or some other drug, in addition to plant-based drugs, we all share the same threat and we have to work together. So our goal for the launch of the coalition last July, which would be 1 year and a week, was to get 50 countries together. We ended up getting 80 countries and 11 international organizations. And now there are 156 countries and 15 different international organizations. And that is because of you all. President Biden has now requested $24 billion just for domestic treatment programs at home. We now have a medical doctor who's the head of the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy. And all of this really is because of the things that you have done.
To keep the momentum going, to make sure that this attention to the change.
The structure created strike a balance between treatment and prevention.
If you put all these intelligence minds together, you can't go wrong here.
What we want to achieve is that element of networking, knowledge, sharing and learning.
But when we come together, there's a magic. There's an energy that happens when people are together in the same room.
The Global Women's Network is I see as an important part of this overall conference because it gives providers from prevention to treatment to recovery that are working with women a place to call home, a place to find their face, their voice, their like-minded spirits within this larger conference.
Recovery is part of the whole continuum of care, and that's why it's a very important component in this conference.
So one thing that I think the coalition needs to do is start looking at some of these issues that are challenging us outside the box.
Okay, thank you very much for the video. Now I'd like to turn it over to our co-chair for today. I see Amrita Devi's on the line. Over to you, Amrita.
Hi, Brian. Very good morning to noon Indonesia time. It is really very nice to meet everyone here again, virtually, after a very fruitful meeting that we had. It was indeed a very good exposure and experience for me personally, and I guess to everyone, to finally be able to meet in person, as mentioned by Brian and everyone from the previous sessions. So today we will start, and before I begin, thank you, Brian, for the invigorating future plans and the way forward of the Global Coalition. It seems that there's a lot more to do in the future, and certainly we do have, we are looking forward to a more concrete actions and research if we can have, so whatever is being done can be measured adequately and then reviewed subsequently. And indeed, the challenges ahead is with more things to do, challenges will continue to come in. So without further ado, we'd like to begin with the 3.2 East Working Group session today. Shall I invite our first speaker of the day, Elizabeth Aribazibar, the Program Manager on National and Subnational Drug Policies on the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission, or very famously known as CICAD. Can we have Elizabeth's presentation, please? As the previous issues with the earlier working group, we are not hearing any audio here.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. So can you repeat your comment, please?
Yes, Hengi. I see video, but there's no audio here on my side on Elizabeth's presentation.
There is no audio.
Is anyone experiencing the same thing as me?
Let me try to play again. Please let me know. And I'm muting my microphone.
None on my side.
How is it, ma'am?
No audio.
No audio.
No audio. And my setting hasn't changed. Everything is the same as before. That's interesting.
Well, the video is not playing right now. No audio.
Henki, if you click the share sound on the bottom left corner.
My audio is shared. You could hear the previous video, right?
Yeah, but maybe if you press the share sound box on the bottom left of the white window that we're looking at? Here. Do you mind if I try on my side?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Hopefully it'll work. We'll see.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the presentation of the Executive Secretariat of the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission, SICAD, of the Organization of American States. My name is Elizabeth Arribas, the Program Manager for Drug Policies in the Institutional Strengthening Unit. Today, I will be presenting technical tools and materials on drug policies that we have developed and that we are using right now with our member states. One of the key programs of the Institutional Strengthening Unit is the Drug Policies, Strategies, and Plans of Action program. This program forms part of a large multi-decade effort by the Executive Secretariat of SICAD on providing technical assistance to us member states in the design, development, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation, national drug policies, and local policies. We provide, as I said, technical assistance, virtual, in-person, country. We organize meetings with national drug authorities, other stakeholders to discuss different subjects. We develop and deliver trainings, in-person trainings and virtual trainings, and we also draft and publish technical documents such as guides and tools. Based on our work supporting member states, we have developed contents, tools, templates, and more, which we have materialized in various publications to make them available at any time. 3 of these publications are right now available in our website and in front of you. So the first document is a guide on how to develop a national drug policy, address to policymakers, program managers, officers, different kind of stakeholders involved on the policy drafting and implementation. Is available in English, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. The second document in the middle is the Universal Training Curriculum for National Policies or Strategies called UCNDS. As I said, it's a training for the same target group, policymakers, officers responsible for implementing the policy, also program managers, and provide knowledge and skills for drafting. And the last document is a guide for a territorial intervention addressing the issue of drugs. So it's more about local policy. Let me go into detail of each of these publications. This guide in front of you defines and supports the process of developing, planning, implementing, and monitoring and evaluating national drug policies based on country needs. It includes an overview of a structure and main recommended components of a national drug policy and its corresponding strategy and plan of action. It has a total of 6 chapters that follows the step-by-step process on how to draft a national drug policy. So please have a look to the title of each chapter. First and second talk about the structure, the formulation, and of a national drug policy. Also develop a national drug policy. Is the second chapter talk about the strategic planning, how to define the goals, the objective, the core values, the performance targets. The third module and 4 talk about logic models and implementing activities, programs, and interventions. So third chapter and 4 is logic models and plans of action. Indeed, the chapter 5 is how to define a monitoring and evaluation plan. So when we start defining or developing a national drug policy or local drug policy, since the beginning, we have to start thinking on drafting the monitoring and evaluation plan, defining baselines, defining indicators. And finally, the chapter 6 is about talk about the process of approval and adoption by all stakeholders. So please have a look. I just did some screenshots of the document. It's very easy and friendly to read, to follow. And also has an annex with a lot of templates and examples of policies already published and made. Okay. So the next document is the Universal Training Curriculum for National Drug Policies, aims to empower professionals responsible for designing and implementing drug policies by addressing the need for enhancing knowledge and skills on drafting each component of a national drug policy, while facilitating the policymaking process from drafting to approval. So also follow the same structure that the previous guide. No, follow the step-by-step process on how to draft a national drug policy. You see that modules are pretty in line with the previous guide. No, defining public policies. Model 2, for example, provide what is the framework, the international framework and the regional framework for local policies. The third chapter is how to write the strategy. The 4 and the 5 module is develop the logic models, the plans of actions. Module 5 is talks also or provide the skills on how to prepare a monitoring and evaluation plan. And module 6, this is a quite interesting module. Here we explain how to do a budget planning, how to estimate costs for its activities, different methods to estimate costs, how to present a budget that is aligned with the logic model, the plan of action. And finally, again, we have module 7 that also talks about the approval process. So you can see also some slides about these training materials. I have to tell you that we have a lot of exercise in each module that also give the time to the participants to start drafting in the training the different parts of a national drug policy. So that is very useful because we are around and we are supporting them while they are drafting and doing the exercise. The final publication is this guide. It's more a local guide for local policies, and this publication aims to contextualize the role of local governments in addressing issues related to drug consumption and to provide a framework for the development of local policies that respond to the problem at the local level. The challenge for countries is to achieve broad coverage of national drug policies that provides the necessary service and equal attention of all citizens. So just mention a little bit. So this guide provides contextualize the problem in the territories, the drug problem, what is the role of local governments, what they can do, how they have to work with local authorities together to address the problem, what are the steps to define a local policy. So it's a very interesting and useful guide. Lastly, in 2024, this current year, we are going to publish these 2 other documents, a toolkit on national drug policies. This toolkit complements the guide on how to draft a national drug policy. It provides a practical illustration of its guidelines by showcasing the various steps to develop and update the national drug policy. So it is very interactive, a lot of templates, very user-friendly. And the last document is a handbook where we provide different kind of indicators by areas. And we also think that could be very useful, this document, because while policymakers or different actors that are drafting the national drug policy, if they have in hand indicators, so they can have a look and start using or adapting indicators that we recommend for the monitoring and evaluation plan that they are drafting. So thank you so much for your interest. I really thank the coalition for giving us this space to present the tools and the technical documents that we are using. Please feel free to contact the Institutional Strengthening Unit of CICAD or myself using the email address that is right now in front of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for explaining, and it is indeed very interesting to have this publication, and hopefully the publication is it's available, I assume, based on your presentation. And do we open the floor now if anyone has any questions to address to Elizabeth? Nope. Maybe we can, if anyone is interested to ask any question, we can keep this towards the end if time permits after the presentations of all speakers. But yes, it is very interesting to see how there's actually a guideline to develop a step-by-step national drug policy and also how to implement it. So from planning to execution and also the monitoring, not just drug policy, and also the curriculum, and as well as the territorial intervention. So, with the ending of Elizabeth's presentation, shall we proceed to our next speaker? That is Yuri Nakalowski, Chief of the Demand Reduction Unit of CCAD. May we have her presentation?
Absolutely. And Henki, if you don't mind, I think I might try to do the same thing and hopefully it works again, if that's okay.
And Sarah, this is Sarah. If you don't mind, can we let Henki try to do it? Because we tweaked a couple of configurations and we would like to check if it's going to work this time. So if you don't mind, Sarah.
Sounds great to me. Go for it. And
Henki, go ahead, please.
Oh. Okay, so okay, let's
Brian, I'm not sure it's going to work out because people are going to be hearing Spanish and English at the same time. And oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. I'm sorry. Henki, go ahead.
okay, yeah, so we are going to do relay, Cyril.
No, it is not working, unfortunately. Henki, I'm ready to play it on my end. Can you please stop sharing? Give me 1 second.
O buenas tardes o buenas noches, dependiendo de dónde estén. Mi nombre es Jimena Kalawski, soy la jefa de la unidad de reducción de la demanda de la OEA-CICAD. La idea es poder compartir con ustedes el trabajo que hemos estado realizando y que puede ser de un aporte importante también para la coalición. Bueno, solamente quiero recordar que la CICAD es el organismo consultor de la Organización de Estados Americanos en los temas relacionados con drogas y que funciona como un foro donde los diferentes Estados miembros discuten y buscan las soluciones a los distintos temas relacionados. También donde se entrega asistencia ajustada más bien a las realidades, a las necesidades, pero a las realidades de cada uno de nuestros países. Para eso la CICAD tiene sesiones regulares y reuniones además de distintos grupos de expertos. La Secretaría Ejecutiva de la CICAD cuenta con 5 unidades, fortalecimiento institucional, que está liderado por Antonio Lomba, reducción de la oferta, donde está Rafael Parada, el mecanismo de evaluación multilateral, donde está Adrián Noble, y el Observatorio Interamericano de Drogas, que está María Hines. Y por supuesto, la unidad de reducción de la demanda de drogas, que es donde estoy trabajando con un muy buen equipo. Bueno, los Estados miembros acuerdan por consenso un plan de acción hemisférico y también un plan de trabajo. Esta estrategia hemisférica y el plan de acción tiene una duración de 5 años. De hecho, el próximo año toca acordar la nueva estrategia y de alguna manera son los objetivos, las metas que los países se ponen de acuerdo para cumplir en determinado periodo de tiempo. Esto es luego evaluado a través del mecanismo de evaluación multilateral, que es un mecanismo único en el mundo, donde los Estados miembros se evalúan entre sí el cumplimiento de los objetivos que han sido establecidos previamente. Esto es muy relevante porque los Estados miembros van dando cuenta del trabajo que han venido realizando, justamente en los distintos aspectos que están contenidos en la estrategia hemisférica, respecto a la recolección de datos, respecto al fortalecimiento de las instituciones, a la reducción de la oferta, a la reducción de la demanda. Luego, nosotros en reducción de la demanda, nuestro rol es fortalecer y apoyar el trabajo de prevención, de tratamiento, de reinserción, de recuperación en los Estados miembros. Para eso, además, contamos con una reunión anual de expertos que son nominados por cada uno de nuestros países y tenemos una reunión donde discutimos cuáles son los temas más relevantes en este periodo de tiempo, actualizamos qué es lo que está pasando en las distintas áreas que tienen que ver con nuestro trabajo, pero también discutimos cuáles son los temas que vienen y hacemos algunas recomendaciones técnicas. En este momento la presidencia de este grupo de expertos la tiene Brasil y la vicepresidencia la tiene Barbados. Y les quiero comentar algunos de los proyectos en los que estamos trabajando ahora que pueden ser de interés para ustedes. Uno es la red de centros de tratamiento de mujeres, para mujeres, porque nos interesa poder dedicar una especial atención a las necesidades que tienen las mujeres en tratamiento y cómo podemos ayudar a los países a que puedan tener más y mejores programas que estén adecuados a las necesidades de las mujeres y a sus realidades. Sabemos que el consumo de drogas tiene efectos de las mujeres que son distintos que los de los hombres, pero también hay realidades que son diferenciales o diferentes entre hombres y mujeres en cuanto al uso, al tipo de uso que se le da a la sustancia, al deterioro asociado a las relaciones interpersonales, al daño en las relaciones interpersonales, al tema de la responsabilidad con los hijos, etc. Y en ese sentido, esta red pretende dar una respuesta adecuada para poder fortalecer los programas de tratamiento. Y en ese marco es que hemos desarrollado además un trabajo relacionado con el estigma de las mujeres que están pidiendo o que necesitan acceder a los programas de tratamiento. Entonces, hemos trabajado en dos reuniones importantes, una con los países de Latinoamérica, otra con los países del Caribe, y sacamos algunas recomendaciones para en el corto plazo los países puedan abordar o desarrollar y tener una mejor política, planes y programas orientados a la mujer. Algunas de estas recomendaciones están aquí representadas, por ejemplo, el tener un buen análisis de la situación, de las necesidades y crear estrategias de reducción del estigma, trabajar en la sensibilización respecto a el estigma que está asociado a las mujeres que consumen drogas, con distintos tipos de audiencias, profesionales, no profesionales, medios de comunicación, tomadores de decisiones, y además promover un lenguaje no estigmatizante en relación a los distintos grupos objetivos y en particular en relación a las mujeres que usan drogas. Hemos tenido bastante buenos resultados, avances en este trabajo en particular sobre el tema de estigma. Otro de los proyectos con los que estamos trabajando y avanzando es el currículum para el tratamiento de adolescentes con uso de sustancias. De hecho, hicimos una capacitación abierta recientemente en Grecia con la participación de distintos países, no solo de nuestra región, sino que del mundo entero. Y este currículum está disponible, es una buena herramienta inicial para aquellos programas o países que quieren iniciarse en el abordaje o en el tratamiento de programas para adolescentes con uso de sustancias, que también son programas que son escasos. Tenemos pocos programas que estén orientados directamente al trabajo con adolescentes. Luego tenemos que está en desarrollo ya casi en su etapa final el currículum de prevención, tratamiento y recuperación para organizaciones basadas en la fe, que es un currículum que permite entregar a las personas que están trabajando en el territorio en relación directa con la gente vinculados a la iglesia, sacerdotes, curas, catequistas, personas que lideran grupos de jóvenes, poder entregar herramientas básicas y conocer lo que tiene que ver con la ciencia de la prevención y con tratamiento para poder realizar, dentro de la labor pastoral que ellos ya realizan, poder realizar un mejor trabajo y además que esté sustentado en la evidencia. Hemos avanzado bastante, ya está en este momento en revisión final el currículum y además se ha ido armando una red en los países con los cuales hemos estado trabajando en los pilotos. Este material además ya cuenta con el apoyo y el respaldo de la Conferencia Episcopal Latinoamericana y bueno, nos tiene bastante satisfechos porque ha tenido una muy buena recepción. Otro de los proyectos o programas con los que estamos trabajando es el Engaging Youth in Prevention Curriculum y el Youth Forum. O sea, esto es un trabajo con el foro de jóvenes más bien conocido, donde nos interesa poder contar con jóvenes que ya están haciendo un trabajo en sus países y poder entregarles herramientas para que puedan desarrollar e implementar proyectos, evaluar proyectos también y que puedan desarrollar proyectos o programas de prevención basados en la evidencia. Entonces, lo que nos interesa es fortalecer el liderazgo de los jóvenes. Ya hay toda una metodología diseñada. También tuvimos una reunión mundial de jóvenes ahora en Grecia y ellos finalmente sacaron una declaración que se presentó el último día de la reunión de ISAP. Por otro lado, también tenemos un programa donde trabajamos con la prevención a través de los medios de comunicación y hemos capacitado personas de distintos países en poder trabajar mucho mejor con los medios de comunicación, medios digitales, en el desarrollo de mensajes que puedan persuadir a no consumir drogas o dejar el consumo de drogas o tener mayor conciencia del daño y las consecuencias que eso tiene. Y también hemos estado trabajando con el modelo SAT en algunos países de la región de las Américas, particularmente en el Caribe, donde también nos interesa fortalecer el liderazgo juvenil para desarrollar estrategias preventivas. Por otro lado, hemos estado trabajando fuertemente con la sociedad civil, en particular con la Federación Latinoamericana de Comunidades Terapéuticas, para que hagan un más y mejor trabajo apegado a los estándares internacionales de tratamiento. Y para eso estamos trabajando con los siguientes aspectos: una guía de buenas prácticas, un mapeo y un diagnóstico, una evaluación de calidad también. Todo este trabajo está en desarrollo y hemos tenido una muy buena respuesta de las comunidades terapéuticas. Luego estamos apoyando y somos el organismo regional de coordinación de las universidades que participan del Consorcio Internacional de Universidades y también estamos dando apoyo a los países de la región de las Américas que cuentan con capítulos nacionales de ISAP. Otro aspecto importante, estamos trabajando fuertemente en el proyecto DOMES, que es el proyecto de demostración, donde en un territorio específico, que en este caso es Pereira y Dos Quebradas en Colombia, se están implementando varias o casi todas las herramientas que cuentan con el apoyo de INL en lo que tiene que ver con reducción de la demanda, pero también con alternativas al encarcelamiento, para evaluar los resultados que esto tiene cuando se implementa en un territorio en particular. Este es un proceso largo, complejo, donde trabajamos múltiples actores con distintos organismos internacionales, trabajamos en conjunto con Naciones Unidas, también está trabajando Colombo Plan, Bayer está haciendo la evaluación de todo este proceso y CADCA también está participando en este programa. eso, principalmente me gustaría dar las gracias por esta oportunidad donde quería mostrar, hacemos muchísimas cosas más y muchas cosas más que están en carpeta, pero la idea era poder mostrar básicamente el trabajo que estamos realizando y poder ponernos a su disposición, a la disposición de la coalición para poder avanzar mucho más en estas temáticas. Así que bueno, ahí están mis contactos y quedo atenta para cualquiera de sus comentarios o preguntas o solicitudes. Muchas gracias y les mando un saludo gigante acá desde Washington.
Thank you very much, Jimena, for introducing us on the organizational structure of CCAD, and also that was an interesting method of evaluating the work done by member countries. I believe it's an objective and a non-biased approach. And thank you also for sharing the development on women and adolescent treatment. We understand that it has been a challenge and always will be a challenge, bearing in mind the psychosocial and how pertinent the stigma is. And in our day-to-day practice experience also, that inhibits women and adolescent or youth to access treatment. I guess not just in drug treatment and rehabilitation, but in mental health in general. And maximizing the role of faith-based organization is a way also to increase the accessibility and acceptability. The use of social media and civil society is also a very strategic approach. And thank you for the recommendation stated. It is indeed an inspiration for member countries to look back and start initiating programs based on what you have prepared to enhance the accessibility and acceptability of the treatment. I would be glad to open the floor for any questions addressed to you.
Amrita, could I? So it's okay that we record my question and comment. We don't need to stop the recording. I was just going to note that CCAT is an incredible institution and unique. I want to highlight the point that you mentioned and that Jimena mentioned in her presentation. CCAT has a multilateral evaluation mechanism. So one thing that is unique, perhaps, that we haven't seen with the African Union or with the Colombo Plan, or I think also ASEAN, I'm not sure, is that there is the region comes together to develop a plan of action that that then countries evaluate themselves on. So there is a multilateral mechanism to evaluate each other. And so that is unique in the world. We typically say and that CCAT has really that mandate, but it's because the member states have given them that mandate to serve as the secretariat for that role. I'd say that that the other regions of the world, one area that should be perhaps prioritized ahead of that before even getting to that level of integration or review of drug strategies and drug policies is actually the development and the creation of drug strategies. And I wonder if for the Asia Pacific region, if we should not take an account, a stock of the countries that have active drug strategies and those that have strategies that have lapsed, because one of the greatest contributions perhaps that could be made with a global coalition, a very foundational piece, would be for countries to commit to updating their national drug strategies if they have lapsed. And the curriculum, I see Elisa's on the line, the curriculum that Elisa, and others in CCAT have been working on to strengthen and support with institutional strengthening policymakers in developing national drug strategies is quite important. Sorry, Maria, I think I saw your text message that you can't hear me. It's because I had gone back to main audio. I was doing the interpretation before. But I was in a sense saying that I think we should focus on developing drug strategies. CCAT has a very good curriculum that we're looking at implementing in the Africa region for countries to update their drug strategies. And I'd like to just pose that either through Colombo Plan or through ASEAN, or through ASOD, maybe that we introduce the idea of sharing these materials for the possibility of Asian countries also that are interested updating their drug strategies through this very dynamic, engaging workshop that CCAT has developed. Thank you.
Very interesting remarks, Brian. Actually, that was the indirect point I'm hitting on. I mean, it would be very interesting and useful too if what has been implemented from CCAT can be duplicated or replicated in various regions. I mean, ASEAN, coming from ASEAN country, has a lot of meetings conducted annually, but I don't see anything, you know, that has a grip that as CCAT has been doing. You know, I feel like everyone there is so passionate and so focused on their work, and the work yields positive results. So if we can actually adopt that method under your supervision and guidance, actually in the ASEAN region, it would be very great. Okay, we look forward to that future collaboration, Brian, in our region. And shall we proceed to our next speaker? That is Dr. Yvonne Orlando, the Director of Public Education, Advocacy, Counseling, and Rehabilitation of the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Shall we have the presentation? Thank you.
Good morning, good evening from wherever you're listening in. My name is Dr. Yvonne Orlando from NACADA. I'll be sharing our strategic plan, particularly touching on the demand reduction aspects and the strategies that we have put in place. Allow me to share my screen. Okay. So when we are looking at the Public Education and Advocacy Directorate, we seek to provide the public with information that is adequate, evidence-based, and targets the aspect of prevention, skills development, and capacity development, particularly for both prevention and treatment aspects. We do this through different settings. These are the schools, families, workplaces, communities, and development and implementation of policies, standards, and guidelines. Our strategic objective for the next 5 years is to enhance public education through drug demand reduction initiatives and advocacy campaigns. We have 7 key strategies that we'll be implementing during this time. The first one, we're providing skills, and these skills are targeting children and youth to choose healthy lifestyles. We are developing supportive parenting and healthy social environments. We are promoting community-driven initiatives, workplace prevention and management initiatives, use of prevention standards and systems. We are increasing public awareness through advocacy campaigns and undertaking capacity building programs. If I look at the strategies one by one, for the children, when you're promoting skills and opportunities for children and youth to choose healthy lifestyles, we have developed age-specific booklets. We have for the smart kids, ages 6 to 8, cool kids, 9 to 12, 16 to 18 years old, and 13 to 15 years old. For all these age-specific booklets, we actually use the children to guide us on the photos, the colors, and the information that they'd like to know more about. We also have a program that we called Life Skills. This is a bot-driven program that we've implemented in all of our grade 5 schools. So it is the teachers that have been trained such that if children get to grade 5, this program is introduced. And the idea is that all children at the end will be able to access information on drug awareness and saying no. For the policies within schools, we've been able to develop the national guidelines for alcohol and substance use prevention and management in basic education institutions in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. Now, these guidelines target primary schools and secondary schools. It guides the teachers on how to handle incidents. If you find a child with the drugs, or you suspect the child is using a drug, what do you do? Taking note that the guideline is clear that no child should be suspended or expelled from school, because then they're not able to be supported. But one of the intervention is parents must be part of the support program. We also have a teacher's guide on issues of alcohol and drug use prevention. The second strategy on developing supportive parenting and healthy social environment. Here we do positive parenting. We do this through the media, both electronic, print, social media. We do face-to-face engagement, and then we use the religious institutions. We have our churches, we have the mosques, we have the Hindu temples. We bring them all together in religious forums to pass this information, because when we empower our religious leaders, then they're able to cascade this information to their congregants. We also have a booklet for parents to help parents learn how to talk to their children. We've been able to do sessions where we are teaching parents on listening more, becoming a better parent, setting an example, and spending time with your children. The third one is promoting community-driven initiatives. Here we've developed policies. We have commemorative days. We do community-wide fora where we have meetings in barazas. We mobilize communities. We have coalition meetings. We have sensitizations for the entertainment venues like the Bar Owners Association. And we've also started now training capacity building for community work groups. The essence of this is that we want to know how many people in the community, be they community-based organization, NGOs, faith-based organizations, civil society organizations that are doing work in the line of alcohol and drug abuse prevention or treatment. We want to know where they're located and what exactly they're doing. We have the national guidelines on alcohol and drug use prevention to ensure that anyone working in the field of prevention is actually doing the right thing. And the guidelines outline what are the consequences if you're found to be practicing without competency. The fourth strategy is to promote workplace prevention and management initiatives. And here we do both for formal and informal sector. We do establishment of alcohol and drug abuse committees. We train those committees. We then encourage that particular organization to do a baseline survey to understand their needs. Once they have the survey, we now encourage them to have a workplace policy that will support those individuals who will be found to need support services. Then they sensitize using their survey findings. And of course, they have to have supporting mechanisms for their people with a substance use disorder. For the formal workplaces, we go to institutions. For the informal workplaces, we use their associations. The fifth one is to promote the use of prevention standards and systems. And here we have the code of practice, where for us we've launched it so that all people who are working in this field in prevention are able to adhere to the code of practice. Now, remember we talked about our community work groups. We also have our national alcohol and drug use prevention system, where the work groups and all partners who are working in this field have to share with us what they're doing through the system. They have to actually report, this is what I'm doing, this is the challenge I have, this is what I can do better, and where they're located. The idea is for us to be clear on what is being done in the country, the gaps that are there, and then as a regulator, be able to come in and fill in that gap. The sixth strategy is to increase public awareness through advocacy campaigns. We don't just want to regulate. You want people to also know exactly what is going on. And one of the advocacy channels that you're using, we have what you're calling the National Substance Use Prevention Week. We started last year in February 22nd and 23rd, where we had a whole week just to celebrate the different sectors and the different stakeholders to showcase what they're doing in this field. It was a meet and greet forum, and it was a lot of fun. The other strategy is to increase public awareness through advocacy campaigns. And on this also, we are doing capacity building. For our capacity building, we have introduction to the science of addiction, the universal treatment curriculum. We have developing community-based recovery support systems. For those of you who are familiar with the recovery coaches, recovery peers, recovery allies, we have the Universal Prevention Curriculum Series, which we're also offering. We have the ATI, the Alternative to Incarceration, for people who are in contact with the criminal justice system and also have a substance use disorder. And we have the Child Program. And here you can see the Suitcase for Life. And we also have the WISE, the Women Involvement in Substance Exposure Program. And the idea is to push this as much as possible so that we keep professionalizing our field. This is what we have planned, and we are hoping that with partners, they can join us and support us to ensure that these programs are successful. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Do we have any questions for Yvonne? Nope. Actually, I am very impressed on the activities that has been done based on public education advocacy, addressing on youth, parenting, community, workplace, creating workplace public awareness. I also appreciate the eye-catching colored books. These colors are actually, you know, when they say don't judge a book by the cover, but it's actually the cover of the book that catches people to want to read the book. And congratulations on the comprehensive approaches to involving relevant stakeholders and the development of the national guidelines for primary and secondary school to provide early detection and intervention, and also develop school policy, and also how parents are involved in the process. And very interesting modules on the approaches parents can do in creating positive influence and environment. With the presentation of Yvonne, we actually conclude the session today of 3.2 East Working Group. And what I gather from this session is in conducting drug demand reduction approaches, we need to have a very comprehensive strategy and to touch upon various groups. There are certain population that has not been touched, and yet these populations play a very significant role in the next generation. Women have multiple roles now. A lot of women are following a career path, but they can't forget their role as a mother, as a wife at home. So it's actually very challenging. And also the social response for women and also for youth. Not just youth, actually. We need to start as early as in their childhood period. I mean, if you look at the psychosocial development, the age where gender identity period is very significant in how one perceives one's role as a child to adult. So thank you very much, everyone, for sticking towards the end of the session today of 3.2 East Working Group. And we look forward to seeing each other again virtually next month. So thank you once again. Have a nice day, Jakarta time, and back to you, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amrita, very much for your moderation in today's session and for the presenters today. I want to encourage colleagues, as we heard today from our colleague from Kenya, Yvonne, that there are lots of materials that they have and that we have at a global level. If you are interested in sharing some of your materials, that could also be a contribution for the Synthetic Drug Coalition, and we can post them on the website for other countries to access. If you would like access to the universal curriculum courses, we can also provide those to you or to a university or a training provider. So please reach out to us if we can provide any support in sharing materials with your colleagues, or if you can share materials with us to share with other coalition members. With that, I'm going to ask to stop the recording and turn it back to technical moderator Henki to get us started with the next session. Thank you.